So deer season 2020 is here. I've seen several deer from the stand, some does, some younger bucks. I've let all of them walk. I haven't even drawn my bow back yet. 2020 deer season is really going to be about my daughter Abby and her first deer. So we're not going to concentrate on daddy getting a deer this year. It's all going to be about her. She turns 6 in 2 weeks, second week in November. So I'm trying to get everything set up this year to make her first hunt successful and her first deer season successful. And some of the ways I'm going to do that is the very first thing I purchased was the Caldwell Fieldpod tripod gun rest system. I went and picked one of those up because I know she's going to be using a crossbow, and she's 6, so she's not going to be able to hold the crossbow up. The next thing I did was I did buy her a crossbow. I got a really good deal on one. I got a Barnett Hellcat. It is a full-size bow, which goes back to the tripod system from Caldwell. She'll be able to grow into this bow and use it for years and years and years. And then I also got nieces and nephews that if they decide they want to go deer hunting, they can also use the same crossbow and tripod system. So that part of it's done and ready to go. I've got the spot picked out. There's does and bucks coming in every day. So that part of it is done. Now for the next 2 weeks, what we have to do is I have to work with Abby with the tripod and the crossbow and just get her used to shooting it. The number one problem with that is I can't see what she's looking at through the scope. There's no way to do that. I can take a picture with my phone through the scope and kind of show her the crosshairs, lay it all out, but it's just not the same. So what I've done is, using my Tactacam 5.0, I have the Tactacam FTS, and what this is going to allow me to do is mount the FTS to the scope and then use the Tactacam 5.0 with the FTS, and then using the built-in Wi-Fi feature in the Tactacam 5.0, I'll connect to my phone and I will be able to see exactly what she is looking at through the scope. So when she pulls up on, for instance, for the next 2 weeks we'll be target shooting, when she sets up and she's ready to fire, I can check everything out and I can be watching with my phone or my iPad and showing her, okay, we need to move down a little bit, we need to move left a little bit, we need to move right or up, whatever. And that way it makes her first hunt successful. The last thing we want to do is get out there and wound a deer, miss it altogether, and just have an unhappy kid at the end of the hunt. I want to make the first hunt as successful as possible. That way she's hooked for life. I want her to be able to go with me in the mornings and be excited about it. So to do that, I want to make it successful. So using these two, the Tactacam 5.0 and the Tactacam FTS, that's the plan. I'm going to get it set up here in a minute. I'll walk you through how I have mine set up, and then we'll get Abby out here and we're going to start shooting a little bit, and I'll show you how I probably bring my iPad out and set it up. It's got the bigger screen, and then I can start working with her on her crosshair placement. So I have the Tactacam 5.0 mounted to the FTS on the crossbow, and of course have it set up on the Caldwell Fieldpod and ready to go for some target shooting for Abby. I've connected the Tactacam 5.0 to my phone just to check to make sure the crosshairs were horizontal and that the image was pretty clear. So now what I'm ready to do is I'm going to get a couple of bolts loaded. I'm going to go grab my iPad and get it connected to the Tactacam so Abby can see the crosshairs on it. And then we're going to get her out here and let her shoot a couple times. So we've got the target, of course, set up 20 yards. And then I have the Tactacam FTS with the 5.0 mounted to the scope on the Barnett using the Fieldpod. Now what that's going to allow me to do is by connecting I just use my iPad because it's got a bigger screen. By connecting it to the Tactacam 5.0, I'm able to look at the scope and see what Abby's aiming at, which allows me to have more confidence when it's time for her to pull the trigger on a deer. It allows me to see that and make sure we got a good shot. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple shots and see what happens. Okay, So we know
no touching that.
no touching the string, no fingers above the string.
And no touching the thing.
The trigger.
Until it's...
And then we want to look at the top crosshair on here. So get your hand up there, don't touch the trigger yet until
Like
we get it lined up. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to look for the heart, which is right there.
And I know where...
Okay.
I have got
so
it.
you get ready, you can squeeze it.
I think I'm ready now. It's not going.
Well, now, hold on, let's get it lined up. Okay,
Where'd I hit it?
let's go see.
Let's go see.
So let's go see where Abby hit at. Did you hit the heart again?
Almost hit the heart.
Almost. Let me see. Yeah, it's really close. That's pretty good though. That'll help you get your first deer. So again, that's the setup I'm going to use. I'm going to use the Tactacam FTS, the 5.0 with the tripod system from Caldwell, it's the Fieldpod, to try to make Abby's first hunt as successful as possible. Again, we're going to shoot numerous times over the next couple weeks, just getting used to the jump on the string from the pulling the trigger to looking at the screen on the iPad to make sure we're lined up to eventually get to the point to where she's able to look through the scope. But for right now, until we can start getting consistent and she knows where she's aiming at, where she can do it on her own, like I said, I'll hold the iPad like I did in the video, and we'll both look at the iPad to make sure that everything's lined up. So again, hopefully here in 2 weeks we can get her on our first deer and it'll be a successful hunt, which will hopefully hook her for life, kind of like when I got my first deer. So again, thank you all for 1,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you like and subscribe, share the video, post a comment below about anything you want to see. If you have any questions about the FTS or the Tactacam system, comment below. I'll try to answer anything I can. If you want more information on the Tactacam FTS, you can go to www.tactacam.com and look up the FTS and the 5.0 system. It's a great system all around for the self-filming hunter. Of course, you also got the fish eye if you're into fishing. So they've got a little bit of everything for everybody, and it's just a great tool to have to try to make this hunt with my daughter successful.